Hi everyone, this is just my second podcast from Belfast as the independent activist. I want to talk about really the war in West Asia and the war in Ukraine and draw some parallels that I believe are clearly visible for anyone who wants to see them. And the ongoing genocide that we're witnessing from the Israeli society via Israeli government and via the IDF being visited upon the people of Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon, an unconscionable genocide, using starvation as a weapon of war. And while this is primarily an Israeli Zionist attack upon the civilian population in the region, this is also an American war. This has been an American war since day one. Joe Biden, genocidal Joe Biden, at any time could have picked up the phone, said to Netanyahu, we don't want this to continue any longer. It's unconscionable, the methods and the tactics that you're using, this total warfare against the civilian population and the civilian infrastructure, allowing polio to return to Gaza after 25 years, bombing schools, hospitals, universities, refugee centres, and now tented cities that people are being herded into like animals, tanks, drones, and F-16 aircraft, F-35s, and these quadcopters that are armed that can shoot people at will as a drone just going down the street. These are all being used to herd the people in Gaza into these basically human sheds. They're not cattle sheds. They're sheds that are filled with people, filled with humanity, filled with old people, crippled people, injured people, women, children, those in desperate need of food, water, and medicine, herded like cattle, corralled into these areas that have no infrastructure, have no support for human habitat. There's no toilets. There's nowhere for people to seek refuge from the heat in the summer. And sadly, the winter is now coming upon us. The rains that flood the areas that don't have any sewage or sanitation. Disease breaking out every day. And people can't get soap. People don't have access to drinking water, never mind hot water, to clean utensils, to clean clothes, to clean bodies. People are wearing clothes that they maybe have had for 6 months or a year when they fled their homes under the threat of imminent Israeli bombardment. People just grab their children, grab whatever they could carry, and hit the road as refugees, very reminiscent of the Nakba in 1948. It's just a modern Nakba using modern warfare, modern machines of war. Modern tanks, modern artillery, modern ships, drones, quadcopters, these F-35 and stealth bombers, whatever they're using to destroy the people in Gaza. This could have been stopped on day one. These are American bombs, American planes, American musicians, ammunitions, musicians, American finance and American political cover in the UN. And globally to allow this genocide, this ethnic cleansing, to continue in one of the most barbaric forms that is possible, which is the destruction of life and property and leaving nothing standing in Gaza, turning it into a car park, as they promised to do many times, and destroy life, hope, and a future for the people in Palestine. So America is financing, and in my opinion, they are directing the war on Gaza and the war on Lebanon and the increasing violence against the people of Iran. And this is all down to Joe Biden. And if you look at his track record, he has said twice in his political career that if Israel did not exist, America would have to create it, because it is an American hegemonic foothold within West Asia, which is designed to divide the Ummah, to divide Persians from Arabs, Muslims from Christians, Sunni from Shia, to put one state against another economically politically and culturally, in order to have those states fight each other, in order not to have a unified foreign policy across the region, which would maybe see American bases kicked out of West Asia. It may see countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran standing firmly together on behalf of the people of Palestine, something that still might happen in the future, but I don't hold out much hope in the short term. So if we compare that to what's happened in Ukraine, 2014, an American coup by Biden and Victoria Nuland. They spent $6 billion in Kiev enforcing regime change against the democratically elected leader and a democratically elected government of the Ukraine. In 2014, they armed and financed the fascists to have a coup. This was nothing to do with the people's revolution. This was all to do about the expansion of NATO, but also the expansion of the EU onto the borders of Russia. Now, it was in 2020, when Biden came to power, that they began to fully arm and rearm the Ukrainian fascists and Ukrainian coup leaders with their intention of pacifying, subjugating, and reoccupying eastern Ukraine, the Donbass and Luhansk, which had broken away under the coup, because those people believed that this was a foreign inspired regime change operation without their consent, and that they did not and indeed would not live under this foreign imposed fascist regime, which harked back to the connections between Bandera and the SS and the execution of people who were Jewish, and the gypsies, and the communists, and the socialists, and the anti-fascist partisans in the Ukraine. So Biden started the war basically in 2014 with a coup. He then financed the armed operation against the secessionist regions of eastern Ukraine, which are now part of the Russian Federation, having been accepted into the Russian Federation after a plebiscite of the people, who give a mandate to the government of those regions to join Russia. So the war in Ukraine is very much similar to the war in West Asia. Israel's war on Gaza and Lebanon and Iran is actually a proxy war on behalf of America. If you're using American weapons and American finance and American political cover, that is a proxy war, because the same outcomes that are desired by the Israeli Zionist racist apartheid regime are mirrored by the regime in Washington with genocidal Joe Biden at the Oval Office. And then what we have in the Ukraine, and this special military operation by the Russians to prevent the fascist coup of Kiev from 2014 from oppressing, occupying, and subjugating the people of eastern Ukraine who refused to live under a fascist coup. We have had a proxy American NATO war against the Russian Federation. So every death in eastern Ukraine, and every death in Gaza and Iran and Palestine and Syria and Iraq and Yemen, and we can go back as far as Libya, Iraq and Afghanistan, are all American wars. They are wars of American hegemony. They are wars to create destabilization in the targeted regions where these wars are carried out. And it is a form of America protecting not American global interests, but Americans' place in the world as the only superpower and the only unipower regime which wishes to rule the world from Washington through sanctions, through unilateral coercive measures, through targeting nations like Lebanon, which has been suffering from an economic stranglehold brought about by the likes of the International Monetary Fund and by the American administration, helping to destabilize the state, helping to put sanctions upon Lebanese banks, individuals and companies, the same way they do with China and Russia and Iran and Venezuela and Cuba. So these endless wars of American aggression, hopefully we will see them come to an end, partially with the election of Donald Trump. It remains to be seen what he actually does, if he will fill his election promises of ending American foreign wars of aggression. It remains to be seen if BRICS and the new multipolar world order will come into being and become a real challenge to the unipolar world order, the world policeman that America believes it is. When I say America, I obviously mean the American military industrial complex. I mean the American global corporations, and I mean American global finance that tries to take the resources, the wealth, and profit from the exploitation of the global south in order to aggrandize themselves in the West. Working people in America are suffering just as much as working people in Russia or Iran due to the world economic situation. Some of that brought about in Europe by the destruction of the gas pipeline between Russia and Germany. So unless there is an end to America's constant imperialist wars of aggression around the globe, an end to their sanctions have backfired because all the countries that they have sanctioned are now looking to join BRICS. They want to be involved in a multipolar governmental, international, global organization where sovereign nations are treated with respect within the group, where trade and cooperation, financial and military and political, can help to raise all the economies that come together in BRICS and those others in the background who wish to join. So potentially BRICS is the savior against American hegemonic military, financial and political interventions throughout the world. And we can only hope that as we go forward, that these strengthen and that the people of the world unite in order to bring about stability and peace.